Right. Is it just us?
Yeah, just you and I, man.
Oh, beautiful.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good thing.
Speaking of the movie, The Fanatic, there's people like everywhere. We were to put up boards around this thing for you, dude. You're a big deal.
Oh, thanks.
Man, it's true. So the movie, The Fanatic and
Yeah.
Moose, I don't know how I feel about them, man. I got like mixed opinions. Like I'm watching this movie and I'm like, I feel bad for him. And then I'm like mad at him. And then I'm like, oh, cheering for him. But then like, I don't like, I just felt like so many different emotions with that character. Is that what you were kind of going for with that?
Absolutely, because, he's complex.
Yeah.
And so is the movie star.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, it's a good point.
They're both complex, and even though the fan that I play goes over the line, so does the movie star,
Yeah, that's a good point.
He could have easily given the autograph or called the police, but he wants to, be a brute about it, and antagonize as well. So kind of two wrongs don't really make a right. But
who is Moose like at his core? Like, is he a good dude?
Absolutely.
That's what I felt like. I felt like he was a good dude.
Absolutely. And I think
was misunderstood.
That's right.
And then when you're constantly misunderstood, the pressures of society start to force things on you. And I don't know if that gives you an excuse. It doesn't give you an excuse to do what he does, obviously, in the movie. But it doesn't give you an excuse either. But society does force a lot of pressure on you.
Well, of course. And it's, look, let's face it. Every fan has a feeling of unrequited love for the person they're admiring, whether it's a sports figure, a music person, a film act, doesn't matter. And their imagination, their dream is that person that they love there'll be a reflection of love back, and it won't be unrequited any longer. If they only met me, they'd love me because I love their movies. They would hang with me. We'd be best friends. I mean, they've got all that.
Yeah, I think that about Kelly Clarkson all the time. Her and I would just be best friends.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So then what happens is that when it's anything less than that, you get hurt, confused, discombobulated, and you do things that you shouldn't do. And
I'm sure you've been asked this before, but has that happened to you? Like people have met you and had a different experience than they expected?
Listen, I've been around famous people since I was 4 or 5 years old. So I always understood that fame.
No, I meant like a fan to you. You're a famous person in general, not like
what my point is that I understood the fan's point of view.
Oh,
always. I always had a high tolerance for the concept.
Yeah.
And I can remember years ago a famous movie star was very upset that I'd interrupted their dinner. I was not yet famous myself, so I was so deeply hurt and upset by the exchange that I never forgot it. And I thought, well, maybe one day if I'm famous, I'll be different toward my fans. And I was.
I often think about that because, he could have just signed the autograph, like in the movie. Just sign the autograph.
Or call the police.
Or call the police. But say he signs the autograph, what happens to this story? I don't know if that stops Moose, if he gets the autograph or maybe fuels him.
Oh, no, it would have all he wanted. If he had gotten everything signed, the jacket, the vest that he wanted, and some of the DVDs and things, he would have been utterly happy and gone home just fine.
So
bragged about it for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Never sold it because he wasn't a professional fan. He was an honest fan.
Yeah.
Meaning from the heart.
Yeah.
And that would have been it. But of course, we wouldn't have a movie then.
Yeah. But I think about what if I became famous? It's so easy to say I'll sign every single autograph, but people have bad days. People have bad moments. People have stuff going on. So. I mean, you've never experienced that, where you're just like, I don't mean to say no, but I have to say no.
Well, only if there's an urgency or emergency. But, again, I learned to not go out of the house if I wasn't in the frame of mind to be, because that's part of your job is to handle it with good manners and PR, and don't leave the house if you're not in a good frame of mind to do that.
I love how you said that's part of your job.
Yeah.
It's not just acting and being on screen, but part of your job is handling the pressures of being famous once you become famous.
And it's not a bad. I mean, look, hey, what's the trade-off? So you're polite, and you don't feel like being polite. You're well-mannered. So what?
Yeah.
You have a gorgeous life. You have high diddly d an actor's life for me. It's a golden ticket. So it's very little price to pay, and you can control when you do it. I mean, it's really not very complicated.
My dad tells this story talking about before you were famous. And he obviously probably doesn't tell it as good as you because it's your story. He would talk about and reference you all the time that when John Travolta was up and coming and started on, in his career, he always reinvested in himself. He didn't spend any of the money. He was investing in himself.
Your dad
Is that
was
true?
correct.
Is that true? He tells me this story all the time, and it reminds me in my career, as you're trying to make it, reinvest in yourself. Keep pushing for yourself. That's what John did, and none of his friends were doing that. Is that true?
It's 100% true. I can't even believe that your dad...
He tells this story all the time.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the details of it.
Yeah.
We're on Welcome Back, Kotter. We have 22 shows a year. We're getting paid very little money the first year. Everyone else is out buying stuff, and I can barely pay the rent because I have a publicist, and I have a manager, and I have an agent. Well, when you eat all that up, you just have enough to eat and barely pay the rent. Or you could not have all that and buy extra stuff for yourself. So I invested in my career by investing in them because I knew that this was a rarefied shot. This series may go, it may not. So the return, I thought, by maybe suffering now for a year, 2 years, may pay off better than, and my friends didn't do that. They all just said, I've arrived, everything's good now. And unfortunately, it didn't pay off as well for them because I was thinking ahead. And your father was correct about that. Sometimes you have to invest in yourself.
I'm glad you told the story too, because, I think about reinvesting in myself as much as I can or putting one in, but I didn't even think about it's probably just as important, if not more important now, like brand awareness and how to get your brand out there, especially how it's competitive.
Oh my gosh.
As fame is.
Absolutely. Now more than ever.
Yeah.
But it was even significant then, but not as much as it is today.
Yeah.
Because it's so compartmentalized.
So where are you at with that in your career now that you've kind of evolved? Do you still have a publicist? Do you still have all those things?
You need certain tools.
Do you still have to do it when you get to your certain level? Yeah.
You design it yourself. That's the difference.
Really?
Is that you use the publicist and your manager as a conduit to what you want to do and how you want to design it. Because it's a new frontier. You get to break ground, experiment, and explore in ways that you haven't before. Instagram, I went on a year ago, and I love it because
really?
I get to clarify, I get to promote the way I want to, and not dictated by anyone else. Even if someone tries to trump it, you can just simply get on and cancel it.
Speaking of trying to trump it, I just want to ask you so you can clarify. What happened with the VMA situation? Can I ask you about that? The sticker goes viral. I would have made the mistake too. Can I ask you about that? Is that okay? Yeah, sure. Yeah. So what happened? Did you mistake who Taylor Swift was, or you're just trying to get off the stage? What happened?
I kind of loved it because I've been friends with Taylor Swift, and she's been so good.
Taylor?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So good to my daughter and my wife at the concerts, and I've written her notes, and she's written back. And the first thing she did last night was thank me for the notes that I had sent.
That's cool. That's cool of Taylor too to remember that in this time.
There's so many people that bombarded the stage that I was looking for her. So the video has me trying to find her, but I thought it was so funny the way it was interpreted, and it was cool. I didn't care.
John Travolta makes a mistake, and gives it to
if
the
I wear
wrong.
a polka dot tie, I shave my head. It's headlines.
Sure.
If I mispronounce something, it's headlines. And I know that about me.
Sure.
I know that my whole life, for whatever reason, it's the Liz Taylor Club. You wear a different dress, you wear a different hairstyle, your headline news. So I don't mind that. As a matter of fact, I sometimes fantasize, what if I had given it to her? That'd have been awesome. I should have just gone all the way with it. And then
raised her hand up like it's Rocky. This is Taylor Swift, everybody.
So I have a sense of humor about all that, and always have, because look, we're in pretty good shape on the day, any given day, that kind of thing could make headlines.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Of all the headlines we get on a regular basis, you went viral because of something like that.
I'll give you 2
beautiful.
other examples. I shaved my head. It went viral.
Yeah,
it was a good day.
Yeah.
I mispronounced on the Academy Awards a few years back. It was a good day because no news upstaged it. And we're so used to this inundation of bad news that the idea that something so light, so insignificant as those items would do that means that, at least for today, there's no bad news.
Yeah, I appreciate you being so open and honest and talking about everything from the movie, The Fanatic, to your experiences with fans, to even the story about my dad. That was really cool. So
you're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. You're really awesome. The Fanatic at AMC in Mesquite on Friday. I saw it. Moose is a very complex character. When you watch it, you'll understand why you go through so many different emotions in the movie. Thank you so much, John Travolta. Appreciate it.
You're utterly welcome.